What we just saw may look playful and entertaining, but the artist behind it is Takashi Murakami. Murakami is a contemporary Japanese artist known for blending traditional Japanese art with anime, pop culture, and commercial imagery. Although his work appears bright and fun, it often explores deeper themes like identity, consumerism, and post-war Japan. These ideas come together in the theory he became known for, super flat. At first glance, 727 feels playful and inviting. The bright colors, exaggerated features, and cartoon-like characters seem almost lighthearted. We see Mr. Dobe, Murakami's signature figure, moving across the painting with the energy of animation and pop culture. But Murakami's work is rarely as simple as it first appears. Beneath the bright surface, something more complicated is happening. In this presentation, I argue that Murakami uses a super flat style to combine traditional Japanese art with anime and consumer culture in order to explore identity in post-war Japan. What first looks fun and familiar begins to feel more layered, connected to history, globalization, and the pressure of modern life. To understand why these ideas become so important to Murakami, we first need to look at the Japan he grew up in after World War II. To better understand Takashi Murakami's art, we first have to understand the Japan he was born into. He entered the world in 1962, less than 20 years after World War II. The war had left deep scars. Cities were destroyed, millions were displaced, and the nation was forced to rebuild not only its streets and buildings, but its sense of identity. Yet from that destruction came rapid transformation. Television entered the home, bringing entertainment, advertising, and new cultural ideals directly into everyday life. Families gathered around the screen as images of modern life began to shape a new generation. American brands, food, fashion, and lifestyles became increasingly visible. What people bought, watched, and desired was changing. Japan was recovering economically, but it was also being transformed culturally. For younger people, especially comics, cartoons, and mass media became powerful influences, offering a world of fantasy, consumption, and endless imagery. By the time Murakami came of age, Japan had become a landscape of bright lights, branding, consumer culture, and non-stop visual stimulation. He grew up between two worlds, the memory of traditional Japan and the rise of a modern society shaped by media and globalization. That tension between past and present will later become one of the driving forces behind his art. Even though Murakami grew up in Japan full of neon lights and advertising, his art also reaches into the past. Images like Mount Fuji and Hokusai's Great Wave reflect older Japanese traditions of bold lines and flat space that connect to his style. During the Edo period, woodblock prints made art popular and accessible, showing actors, women, landscapes, and everyday life. That early mass culture feels similar to Murakami's prints, merch, and collaborations today. He also studied Nihonga, a traditional painting style focused on beauty and decorative surfaces. Themes like snow, moon, and flowers later reappear in his own smiling flower motif. By mixing Japanese artists' past with anime and consumer culture, Murakami created what he called superflat. Superflat was not only a theory, it became the world Murakami built. In that world, cuteness, commercial polish, fantasy, and anxiety exist side by side. At the center of the universe is Mr. Dobe, Murakami's signature character, and in many ways, a reflection of the artist himself. When Dobe first appears, he seems playful, energetic, and almost harmless, like a figure pulled from cartoons, toys, or advertising. He is bright, marketable, and instantly recognizable, the perfect mascot for a world built on surfaces. But Murakami does not allow that image to remain untouched. Over time, Dobe begins to mutate. His body swells, his features distort, and the smile that once felt inviting becomes aggressive and unstable. In later works, Dobe vomits, expels waste, collapses, and loses control of his own body. What first feels absurd gradually becomes unsettling. Murakami has described Dobe as growing older. In that sense, the character becomes a reflection of the artist confronting age, exhaustion, and mortality. The cheerful mascot turns into something vulnerable and deeply human. That transformation reveals what Superflat is really about. Behind polished surfaces and consumer pleasures are pressures that cannot stay hidden forever. Stress, decay, fear, and the fact that nothing remains permanently youthful. Through Dope, Murakami reminds us that even the most playful images can break down and expose darker truths underneath. By returning to 727, we can see how many of Murakami's ideas were already present early on. At first glance, the painting feels bright, playful, and energetic. Mr. Dope surges across the canvas with exaggerated movement of animation and cartoon culture. But the wave beneath him recalls a much older visual language, especially Hokusai's Great Wave and the tradition of Japanese woodblock prints. Murakami places a contemporary character inside the historical space, collapsing the distance between past and present. This is one of the clearest examples of superflat. Traditional art, anime aesthetics, and commercial character design all exist on the same surface. Yet, the painting is not purely cheerful. Mr. Dope's sharp teeth, intense eyes, and restless motion create the tension beneath the bright colors. What first appears playful begins to feel unstable. That tension reflects Murakami's larger question. How does modern identity form between culture, history, and mass media? In 727, Murakami does not choose one over the other, but instead he allows both worlds to collide in a single image. That complexity is what makes this painting one of the strongest statements in his career. Another huge influence on Murakami was otaku culture. Things like anime, manga, video games, and collecting. For a lot of people, those worlds were more than just hobbies. They were places to escape, obsess over, and fully dive into. Murakami understood that this wasn't just entertainment, it was shaping an entire generation. So instead of ignoring it or treating it like low culture, he brought that energy into his art. You can see it in the bright colors, larger-than-life characters, exaggerated expressions, and polished surfaces that feel straight out of anime. By bringing those influences into museums, Murakami blurred the line between low culture and high art. Murakami's collaborations mattered, not just because they were popular, but because they truly changed how people experience art and culture. When he partnered with Louis Vuitton, he showed that art did not have to remain distant or locked inside museums. It can move through the world, into fashion, into everyday life, and onto a global stage. But for many younger generations, Murakami became unforgettable through music. His collaboration with Kanye West on Graduation helped create one of the most iconic album covers of the 2000s. The color, the energy, and the animated world made the project feel bigger than music alone. It felt like ambition, confidence, and imagination all at once. For many listeners, that image became inseparable from the album itself. It was not just a cover, it became part of the memory. That visual language influenced how many hip-hop artists began thinking about branding, album identity, merchandise, and building entire creative worlds around their music. He later collaborated with Kanye West and Kid Cudi on Kids See Ghosts, showing that his art could also hold themes of healing, struggle, and personal growth. Murakami's impact was that he proved art could move through fashion, music, and everyday life, while still carrying emotion, vulnerability, and meaning. He did not just collaborate with culture, he helped shape how a generation saw it, felt it, and remembered it. When an artist shapes culture that deeply, they become more than just popular. They become a part of art history. That is why Murakami is often compared to Andy Warhol. Both artists understood the power of images, branding, and the growing relationship between art and commerce. Warhol reflected a world shaped by advertising, celebrity culture, and mass production. But Murakami moved through that world in a different way. Where Warhol often felt more distant or observational, Murakami stepped directly into popular culture. He embraced fashion, merchandise, music, and the collaboration as real parts of contemporary life. Murakami did not reject commerce. He treated it as a part of modern visual culture. If Warhol reflected the rise of American culture, Murakami reflected a global generation where art, media, identity, and emotion had all become connected. Murakami's impact feels very personal to me. Back in 2017, I visited the Museum of Contemporary Art Chicago and saw the octopus eat its own leg in person. His work was very colorful, very immersive, and larger than life. What stayed with me the most was realizing that flowers created in Japan had bloomed all the way to Chicago. I bought a folder from the gift shop that day, and I still have it now. But for me, that shows how some art stays with you long after you leave the museum. It keeps growing, returning, and finding new meaning over time. Before I end, I want to leave you with one final question. Which image feels more honest about life? A smiling flower, a skull, or both together? Take a second and think about it. Murakami understood that life is rarely one or the other. Joy and struggle, beauty and pain, growth and loss often exist at the same time. That tension is what gives his work so much meaning. Behind the bright colors and playful surfaces, Murakami reminds us that both can be true. In the end, Takashi Murakami showed that the brightest images can carry the deepest truths. By blending traditional Japanese art with anime, pop culture, and commercial imagery, he transformed the story of post-war Japan into something the world could see and feel. Through Superflat, he broke the boundary between high art and everyday life, proving that the meaning can exist even in a world filled with consumption and distraction. Beneath the smiling flowers, the bold colors, and the playful surfaces is something real: identity, memory, struggle, and hope. Murakami did not just make art for people to look at. He made art that stays with them.